Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the April 16th edition of Carolina Week, we'll show you the final curtain call for a controversial drama at UNC.
Chapel Hill isn't immune to one global problem, and it's something you wouldn't expect to be an issue here.
As the NCAA likes to say, most college athletes will be going pro in something other than sports.
Weathercaster Corey Davis will tell us if it will finally start feeling like spring.
All that and the Wimbledon of whistling. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Sarah Huffman.
And I'm Jonathan O. Thank you for joining us. Today marks the one-year anniversary of the Virginia Tech shootings. It was the worst school shooting in U.S. history. This afternoon at UNC, 32 students lay in the quad in honor of those who lost their lives at Virginia Tech. With memories of Eve Carson's murder still fresh in the minds of many, the memorial was very heartfelt for the UNC community. Since the shootings, both Virginia Tech and UNC have tightened campus security.
During the past few weeks, we've given you a look at the preparation for one of UNC's latest theater productions. Carly Swain returns with a look at how the community reacted to a play that came during a time of campus-wide grief.
The company of Dead Man Walking was caught in a whirlwind of emotion, conflict, and hesitation about the work they were doing this weekend, presenting a play about capital punishment to a community in mourning.
I just want to say I think killing is wrong, no matter who does it.
Matthew Baldiga played Matthew Poncelet in the production, a man sitting on death row awaiting his execution.
I mean, I'm split in half. I mean, half of me thinks that it was maybe too soon, maybe, I don't know. And the other half is like, well, if there's ever a time to do this kind of story, then it's now.
Chancellor James Measure supported the production and attended opening night.
When you talk about the death penalty, you can talk about it in the abstract, but when you talk about it in the concrete, it really comes alive. And I think in this context, it's even more meaningful to do this play at this time. And so I'm glad we're doing it.
Even though the cast met this challenge with courage, director Julie Fischel says the final result came with a price.
There is an execution scene within the production, and the first night we staged it, I had to probably scoop 5 or 6 of them off the floor. It's created a whole other kind of journey for us.
Baldiga says that no matter your stance on the subject, educating ourselves is important.
The best part about this play is that we hear the stories from more than just the killer's perspective. We hear it from the family's perspective. So we get a nice spectrum of, well, this is happening in our society, and what do we think about it?
And what did the Chapel Hill community think of this controversial piece of living art? In Chapel Hill, I'm Carly Swain, Carolina Week.
With a series of post-show events, the National Production Coordinator said that the show achieved the playwright's goal, creating community dialogue about a sensitive issue.
Each year, the university recognizes Carolina's best and brightest during the Chancellor's Awards ceremony. Friends and family gathered in the Great Hall in celebration of their loved ones' accomplishments this afternoon. Chancellor James Measure and Bernadette Gray Little presented the awards to the various recipients. In a touching moment, faculty awarded Eve Carson the Irene F. Lee Award for the woman judged most outstanding in leadership, character, and scholarship in the senior class. Her friend Priyanka Rao accepted the award on her behalf. That's the last such ceremony for James Measure. He's stepping down as chancellor at the end of June. The committee charged with finding his replacement met in closed session this afternoon following this very brief open meeting. The committee has met for about 5 months, conducting interviews and holding closed sessions to discuss the different possibilities for the position. Among the search criteria are experience with fundraising, a background in research, and dedication to public education. Measure became the university's 7th chancellor in April 2000. Elizabeth Edwards is no stranger to Carolina. She spoke Tuesday in Carroll Hall as part of a lecture series presented by Student Government. Students and faculty members packed into the auditorium to listen to Mrs. Edwards talk about her experiences at Carolina.
What about Albania? Albania?
Topics ranged from the Vietnam War to segregation and even the men's basketball team. For one night, onlookers traveled through chapters of Edwards' life at UNC, which Danny Randolph found to be filled with sincerity and positive lessons.
It was clear that Mrs. Edwards was really speaking, from her heart. I think she feels a real sense of a community here, a real sense of connection to this campus.
After the lecture, students met Mrs. Edwards and asked questions for about half an hour. Even when Barack Obama isn't in North Carolina, surrogates are working the slate. People participated in house parties across the state Tuesday night, like this one in Durham. They had a chance to listen to Obama's economic plan for North Carolina, which included a middle-class tax cut, a $10 billion foreclosure prevention fund, and tax credit for college education. People were also able to email their questions during the call. And in case you missed it Monday, we want to let you know one more time that one-stop early voting for the May 6th Democratic primary starts tomorrow and goes until May 3rd. You can vote between classes at the Moorhead Planetarium. Be sure to bring a photo ID.
Knowledge is a powerful thing. When you learn about a problem, do you just sit there or do you do something about it? Those who've learned about the horrors of sex trafficking say it's impossible not to.
The extent of the horror of what these victims have suffered, you're impelled to really make sure that something is in place to stop this.
State Senator Ellie Kinnaird backed 2 statutes in the past few years, one to make sex trafficking illegal in North Carolina and another to train police officers how to combat trafficking. But who would expect North Carolina to be so involved in the sex trafficking industry, let alone the quiet college town of Chapel Hill? As if proof that the issue needs to be addressed locally, Carolina Women's Center hosted a conference recently to spread awareness about sex trafficking in the area.
Once we can start raising awareness, then we can start quantifying it. We really need to generate some research to know how much of a problem it is here.
In order to get that research, the most important thing is to get the information to the public.
It's very hard to track for many of the same reasons that it's hard to quantify domestic violence and sexual assault violence. There's a real hesitancy on the part of survivors to come forward and report this for various reasons. Partly their lives are in danger.
But we do know one fact that's directly tied to our area.
We discovered that it is present in every state, including North Carolina, because I-85 and 95 are major routes for human trafficking.
Now, these were huge corridors for drug trafficking in the 80s, and drug traffickers have basically just been replaced by human traffickers using those same routes.
So if citizens are aware, maybe Chapel Hill can help address a global problem.
And the more programs that we have, the more news articles that we have, the more people will realize that this horror is going on right in our own community.
Officials estimate traffickers bring about 20,000 women and children into the U.S. each year, with a quarter of that number arriving in the Southeast. And with his tenure coming to a close, Chancellor James Measer leaves behind a legacy.
Coming up, the first graduating class of Carolina Covenant Scholars give their assessment of the program.
Where's the whole week? Where's the whole week? Hey, excuse me?
Excuse me, sir, something wrong?
Yeah, there's something wrong. You want to get me some whole wheat? Oh, come on. Hey, hey, amigo. Hey, I asked you for whole wheat bread. This is not what I wanted. El Guido.
Sorry for the confusion.
You know, that's the problem with these people. If you want to serve Americans, you got to learn to speak the language. You know what I'm saying?
No, sir. I don't. Enjoy your lunch.
Imagine the power of one voice. Click freedomcenter.org to find yours.
A prominent program at UNC will reach a milestone this May. Reporter Stacey Putsakulich is in the newsroom with more. Stacey?
That's right, Sarah. The Carolina Covenant program started 4 years ago, which means on May 11th, the first group of scholars will graduate.
This is a scholarship program that Shirley Ort, the Director of Scholarships and Student Aid,
created in 2004 for students who come from low-income families.
The faculty coordinator of the Covenants program, Fred Clark, says this first group of graduating scholars show how important the program is to the people involved and the community around them. The students agree.
Being a part of the Covenant is important because it allowed me to come to college at a time when I didn't think my parents could afford it.
It's given me a lot of opportunities to give back. It's given me a lot of leadership skills. It's given me a lot of awareness of different people. I've met all kinds of people that are from very different economic backgrounds. It's been really rewarding. So
being a Covenant senior is great because it shows that my class was actually the pilot class for the Covenant. So it shows like if it worked with us, it can work with hundreds of years after us.
4 years as a Covenant scholar means more to these students than just a cost-free education.
A lot of my identity at Carolina has been through the Covenant.
Like after my sophomore year, like had it not been for the help of Dean Clark, I probably would have left. Meeting the people has probably been the best thing.
Dean Clark says the debt-free senior scholars have received much, but have also given much.
We are really pleased that they're here at UNC, that they chose us, and we hope that the scholarship had something to do with that.
There are about 1,380 Carolina Covenant scholars.
Stacy, besides a free ride to college, what are the other benefits?
The Carolina Covenant program has close relations with both Career Services and the Learning Center, faculty and peer mentoring programs, and they hold a number of receptions throughout the year.
It sounds like a rewarding program. Stacy Putzakulish is reporting from the newsroom. Thank you.
Many parents will find themselves bunking in their kids' apartments for graduation weekend. Local hotels started taking reservations for graduation weekend last May. Some hotels booked in a couple of hours and most others in a couple of months. Local hotel prices typically average $100 a night. For graduation weekend, those families with reservations can expect to pay up to $300 for one night. Some hotels do offer a waiting list. The waiting list at the Carolina Inn is about 300 names long. For 3 decades, UNC's best-known all-male a cappella group has serenaded audiences. Memorial Hall filled Monday night for the Clef Hangers' 30th anniversary performance. The boys sang the songs they're known best for while sporting their signature bow tie and vest outfits. Clef Hanger alum Brendan James, now a professional singer, made a guest appearance to celebrate this milestone. The Clefs will perform again on Saturday for their final performance of the spring semester.
Drinking water is good for your body, but maybe not if you're drinking from a plastic bottle. The hard plastic used in many drinking bottles, like the popular ones made by Nalgene, contains a chemical called BPA. Scientists have shown that small amounts of BPA can leak into the contents of the bottle. Medical experts have linked BPA to prostate cancer, breast cancer, and other health problems. Even though the FDA still says plastics made with BPA are safe, some people are now choosing to drink from bottles made of stainless steel or other BPA-free materials. Campus Health is looking for feedback to improve its services. Managers are asking for input from students as they make renovation plans for the 28-year-old James A. Taylor building. Although most feedback is positive, a few students say they want some problems fixed.
More flexibility with the actual appointment times because they don't go as late, and I feel as though, especially for grad students, we get out of school later, our classes get out later, so more available appointments later in the night would be really great.
Construction around here, yes. That's difficult. Sometimes confusing how to get in the building. That's definitely been a problem, especially when you're new to campus.
If you're a graduate student or postdoctorate student who'd like to give feedback, you can attend one of these focus groups located on the second floor of the Campus Health Building. The postdoc session is tomorrow from noon until 2 p.m., and the graduate and professional student session is from 4 to 6.
And we're now joined by weathercaster Corey Davis.
Corey, what is going on with the weather? I almost needed a coat walking out of the door today.
Well, guys, we're not supposed to have freeze warnings in April. Coming up, I'll let you know if the cold temperatures are gone for good.
Excuse me. I've been getting mixed messages about women and violence. I need a little clarification.
Uncle Bill, how am I supposed to grow up to respect women when I have such lousy role models?
Boys are never going to approach you.
help me reshape my attitudes towards women.
You need to teach them that violence against women is wrong.
No one looks back fondly on the years they spent in a parking garage. When we lose a historic place, we lose a part of who we are. Help protect historic places in your community. Visit nationaltrust.org.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm forecaster Corey Davis, and if you enjoyed the clear skies and comfortable temperatures today, I have good news for you. For starters, we'll be getting even warmer over the next few days as temperatures will rise to near 80 degrees on Friday. It'll really feel more like summer outside than spring. And if you're looking for some fun in the sun, then we will have sunny skies over the next few days as well. We'll be mostly cloud-free and certainly rain-free. So when might we see some more April showers? Well, as we head through the weekend, we could see a cold front pushing towards our area from the west, which will bring us an increased chance of rainfall. Let's switch over to the national map now, and you see basically everywhere east of the Mississippi right now is staying very clear and dry with those sunny skies. That includes us here in the southeast. However, if you head back to the west over Texas, there is some increased cloud cover, and up to the north, here's our next potential weather maker. It's bringing some rainfall across parts of the Dakotas and even snow to our friends in the Rockies. Now, we won't see any snow out of the system as it hits our area by Saturday and Sunday, but we could see some rainfall from this system. Let's zoom in closer on our area right now, and you see some scattered showers off the coast along with some cloud cover. This is part of a low pressure system that's pushing off towards the east. We don't have to worry about this now, and in fact today, all you have to worry about was the beautiful sunny skies here in the Triangle and really across the Carolinas. So why are we staying so warm and so clear? Let's switch over to the surface map, and you see that we have a high pressure system built into the south. Now, because of the rotation of the winds around this system, we're seeing a south to southwesterly wind bringing some very warm air from the Gulf of Mexico into our area. And as we head through the next few days and this high continues to push off the coast, we'll continue to have that very warm air and very nice southerly warm wind in our region. This cold front, though, will push in towards our area by the weekend, and we could see some of that rain through the day on Saturday and Sunday. So what could this potential weekend rain mean for your plans? Well, the Tar Heels will be swinging the bats this weekend in several games. If you're headed out to see the women's softball team, you'll have mostly cloudy skies with a slight chance of rain on Saturday, so be sure to pack a t-shirt and maybe an umbrella for that game as it'll be quite warm, and an increased chance of rain on Sunday for the game. The baseball team is also in action this weekend, and the best game weather-wise looks to be on Friday night, as you'll have mostly clear skies and very warm temperatures falling through the lower 70s during the game. No need to bundle up for this one. It looks beautiful. We can't say the same about Saturday and Sunday, though, as we'll have a chance of rain and slightly cooler temperatures during both games. Now, let's say you're headed out of the Triangle this weekend to the mountains. Here's what you can expect. You should see some rain during the day on Saturday with temperatures in the mid-60s. And on Sunday, you'll see skies clearing up, so nice weather for a hike or any other plans you have. At the beaches, Saturday looks like the best day, as you'll see nice warm temperatures and mostly clear skies, but rain will be moving in through the day on Saturday, and by Sunday you could see some scattered showers. And here's what to expect if you're staying around the Triangle this weekend. Again, we'll be mostly clear with those sunny skies and very warm temperatures tomorrow and Friday. And by the weekend, we'll cool off slightly and see some rain. But guys, I have to tell you, you must get out and enjoy this beautiful weather tomorrow and Friday.
Absolutely. I always enjoy looking at forecasts that have sunshine predicted. It's always a good excuse to get outside.
It looks beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Corey. Despite months of below-average rainfall, things are improving dramatically, just in time for spring. Robert Jessup has this update.
This was the scene at University Lake just 2 months ago. Here's that same pier now. Over the past 3 weeks, rain has replenished our lake reservoirs back to 70% capacity and has caused scenes like this at area dams.
Josh Fields lives on this lake in Finley Forest. He says over time he's seen the water rise significantly.
Well, it was probably down at about a foot or two. I mean, you could see up on the bank where the mud was, which showed you where the water once was. Came back almost all the way, but not quite.
The Orange Water and Sewer Authority has scaled back to Stage 1 water restrictions. This means you can use water for any and all household purposes, However, there are still prohibitions on watering lawns and gardens. We currently have 2.5 billion gallons of water in our lake reservoirs. That's enough to last us 13 months based on the Orange Water and Sewage Authority's estimate. In Chapel Hill, I'm Robert Jessup, Carolina Week.
Rainfall totals are still more than 8 inches below normal going back to January 2007.
And now we're joined by sportscaster Sarah Moore.
And Sarah, from what I hear, there's some UNC athletes stepping on into the international stage.
Well, that's right, Johnny O. Unlike Duke athletes, UNC athletes actually have real talent. Coming up in sports, the Olympics are just a few months away, and our area will be well represented. This guy hopes to make a big splash in Beijing.
In my mind, I'm born to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine?
Here at Carolina, we are forging ahead in our tradition of cultivating leaders in research, teaching, and public service. As the nation's first public university, we are dedicated to setting the standard.
In my mind.
The baseball team headed to Greensboro and handed the UNCG Spartans a spanking. Tuesday was a good night for the Heels. Cal Shelton had a career-best 4 RBI. Tim Fedroff hit for the cycle, driving in 3 runs and leading the Heels to a 14-3 win. Remember Chip Peterson, UNC's very own Olympic hopeful? Well, Chip is back in the water and headed for Spain without the dog. There he'll compete in the final round of Olympic trials for open water swimming. And if Chip places in the top 10, he'll be Beijing bound this summer. Basketball season might be over, but there's one event left. Senior speeches like these from last year, awards, and a highlight video of the season are all on the slate for tomorrow night's basketball awards ceremony. The women's awards ceremony will be tonight at 7 p.m. in the Dean Dome. When a college sports season ends, the athletic careers of some athletes end as well. Aaron Summers tells us this year's seniors are having a little trouble saying goodbye.
Student athletes at Carolina compete at a high level. The endless hours of practicing and playing games have left UNC athletes torn about how to feel when they're forced to say goodbye. Some, like field hockey player Hillary Hartman, are ready for the change.
4 years was a long time, competing at such a high level, so it's ready to move on to the next phase of my life.
How the field hockey seniors left definitely made it easier.
24-0, winning a national championship was pretty good way to end things.
The way I ended my career is you can't ask for a better ending than that.
Senior teammate Allie Tanner agrees.
That takes away from any regrets that I could have had if we hadn't been as successful, but it was perfect.
Others have a different outlook. Soccer player
Cameron Lewis spent more than 300 hours on this field. That's over 1,200 hours in the past 4 years, not including away games or optional practices. And he's not ready to move on.
They have spring games during the spring, but I can't even go watch them because I miss it too much.
For those athletes participating in spring sports, like track and field athlete Erica Fouché, it's hard to predict how it's going to feel when they're done playing.
I think it'll hit more home when I graduate that it's all over.
Most athletes are job searching or already have something lined up.
I am working at a tennis club in the Hamptons through September.
Only a select few have the opportunity to play past the college level, like baseball player Tyler Trice.
I hope I get drafted, get to play at least for a little while longer.
For those not going to the pros, it has to be hard to say goodbye to something you've known your whole life. In Chapel Hill, I'm Erin Summers, Carolina Week Sports.
Well, you know, I'm only a junior, so I've got some time left, but I know for you two and a lot of other people, graduation is right around the corner.
Exactly, and with all those Carolina athletes working so hard to represent our school, you know, with them graduating, it's going to be hard to say goodbye.
Definitely.
Thank you, Sarah. We're not whistling in the dark with this next story.
No, we're not. Coming up, a tradition that's lasted more than 3 decades is leaving Franklin County, but only temporarily.
Downtown Chapel Hill restaurants offer over 15 different cuisines. From the far corners of the world to simple Southern delicacies, there are a variety of different dining experiences that will satisfy every appetite. No matter where you choose to go, you're sure to find a restaurant that is perfect for you. So, for your next night out, why go anywhere else but downtown Chapel Hill?
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Is whistling an art form? Our Jen Carpenter says, to some, there's no question about it.
But when people hear the word whistler, they think, what could she possibly do until they hear me? And then they just gush, and then I'm
Gee, it is contagious, isn't it?
Welcome to the International Whistlers Convention. Every year, whistlers flood Franklin County to compete in the ultimate musical showdown, the Wimbledon of whistling. But this April, for the first time in history, small-town Lewisburg isn't the whistling capital of the world. Now, it's heading for Tokyo.
Yeah, I know, it's great.
Lillian Benton is president of the Franklin County Arts Council. She's Lewisburg's sole representative.
Yes, I'm going over there to experience it in Japan.
Lewisburg has hosted the event for 35 years, and it's costly. In 2007, Franklin County spent $18,000 on the convention. In order to break even and keep competition going, Lewisburg plans to export their whistling brand to new countries every other year. Well, some whistlers are worried. Phyllis Heil is North Carolina's whistling prodigy. The reigning entertainer of the year fears Lewisburg's disconnect will weaken competition.
I think it's awful that a country as big as America cannot come up with the funding it takes, which is not that much, for this event that has been held there for all those years.
You know, the kind of the gravitational center of the whistling world has been Lewisburg for modern history.
In Washington, D.C., four-time champion Chris Ullman is concerned.
When you move the venue, you move the organizer. And the question is will the integrity of the event and the legitimacy of it be maintained?
While wary, the whistling world seeks solace in Alan DeHart, founder and advisor to the convention.
We're hoping that Asia in general will be a place that we can depend on for the future.
And whistle is a whistle. You know, I don't care what language you speak. When you whistle, if you're Japanese and you whistle, it doesn't come out Japanese, it comes out pure whistle.
Though there will be fewer North Carolina whistlers at this year's convention, many of them think it was time to go global and inspire.
My first competition changed my life. Until that time, I had no idea I could do anything with the noise that comes out of my mouth without even thinking about it.
The idea of whistling growing in size and stature is music to their ears. In Lewisburg, I'm Jennifer Carpenter, Carolina Week.
Oh, that was a very interesting package. And you know, with all these interesting stories, you can join us for more on Carolina Connection coming up this Saturday at 7:30 a.m. on News Talk 1360 WCHL.
And that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching. Have a good night.